What I'd say is argue about something that isn't angel numbers. Do you know what I mean?
Hi there and welcome to From Ideas to Results. I'm joined today by Luke, CEO and co-founder of SimGiant Media, and today we're diving into the hot topics in the world of AI. So Luke, I understand there's always updates, but I'm hearing a lot about Claude. What's happening with Claude these days?
It's been around for a long time. It's part of the sort of Anthropic mix, but where I think it's starting to differentiate itself and really step its game up is particularly with Claude Code. There's a huge amount of buzz on YouTube for this, where you're able to design applications from the ground up. So you can kind of literally just prompt and say, I want to build this app, and it will go away and code it, and it does a pretty good job. Like that's the bit that's, I think, why it's blowing up, is because people are, one-shotting, so typing one prompt in and then it's producing something that's absolutely fantastic. So that's really exciting, and there's a few bits around that. So firstly, I think it's definitely worth exploring because it is another wow moment where, almost like going back to when you first used ChatGPT and you were like, oh my God, it's incredible. Yeah. Then you asked it to write a poem, which was your next thing, because it's, that's what we do. Yeah. This is another wow moment where you wow, it's created this. And I think what it does is it means that people start thinking about, well, do I need an agency? Do I need any skills around it? And I think what you then quickly realize with Claude, and this is the realization in the journey that you go through, is it's phenomenal at building a demo. So what I find really exciting is that I'm not a coder, and I'm not a front-end developer, but what I can do is I can go, I've got this idea, and I can get from idea to something that's like a demo very quickly, and I can kind of iterate and improve that. But then when you want to do that at scale, so if you then want to roll that out, it's a different set of skills, and that then becomes beyond its current capabilities. I'm not saying it won't ever get there, but if you wanted to do that at scale to like add 50 clients to it, there's a whole different set of skills that are required in order to kind of make that happen. There's an element that it will change, and it might mean there are less people that need to do those certain things, but you're always going to need, at this point certainly, the knowledge of the expert to validate, is it doing the right thing? Websites are slightly different to an extent because you can see them visually and you can go, oh, I like it, I don't like it. And what we deal with is very much fact-based and does it perform, does it not perform? What it means when you do things like digital marketing is that you need that expert to validate, is what it's doing correct? Explore Claude Code would be my advice. It's amazing and it does some incredible things, but also to be mindful of what it does and doesn't do. You can ask it to audit your SEO, your site from an SEO perspective, which you like, brilliant, and it provides a beautiful report. But then you ask it the question, where did you get that information from? And what you often find is it actually hasn't scraped half of the pages on your site because it can't get access to them for whatever reason, if you're running Cloudflare or some sort of blocker or something that stops it. But what it then does is provides this report with a huge amount of confidence. And I think this is the standard problem we've seen with other AI agents, but actually when you see it with Claude Code, it makes it really shiny, but it still has sometimes the same limitations. So what you need then is that expert to figure out, how do you get it all the information, how you get it to scrape all of the site, how do you validate its recommendations and do that. And I think that's where agencies will go, is like they will be the ones that hold the knowledge. They'll be the ones that make sure that the tooling is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then there'll be our version of what we think is the most important thing to look for when it comes to ranking within AI search. And there'll be another agency version of it. As there always is, the channel will change how they do it, and it'll be done through tools, it'll be done through skills that you develop on Claude Code. So super exciting. I think it will transform the market. We're all over it, hand-picking them for a while. This is how we try to sort of modify those tools to create that kind of, those reports and those bits of information, but also be mindful of understanding what it does, what it doesn't do. Those points of expertise may not be 100% up to speed with actually what is going to deliver that performance for the business as well.
And us digital marketing agencies, we're safe?
But now we're safe. It will change dramatically, and it's about the winners will be the ones who adopt AI like the best and the fastest, and ultimately create their value add through AI. That's what I think, that market. And that will be the same for lots of different markets, not just digital.
Do you have like go-to tools that you use?
We have a range actually. The kind of the key ones really are ChatGPT. We have Gemini as well, Google kind of Workspace, and we have users on Claude Code as well. You pick the tool that suits the job, just as we do currently. So I would use Claude Code at the moment for any kind of like application development or tool development. Google have just released AI Studio, which is now upgraded to use anti-gravity, which then allows you to build applications using the full Google suite of tools. It could be really exciting as well. So it can integrate so many different tools and get you to having like a sort of a product ready output. So GPT knows me the best because I've actually input lots of information about me, so it tailors the response better. I find Gemini better for certain aspects of the coding. NAN is still fantastic in terms of how you can use that to create an outcome when you don't need lots of variation. It's very good at following a route and path, which is what it's designed for. And Claude Code is where I go to sort of build those tools, explore report development, that sort of thing.
Final tool, OpenClaw. What do you think about that one? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so OpenClaw just exploded. It was just everywhere, and it's really exciting. But I think there's a kind of a honeymoon period where it is another wow moment. And some of those case studies you see where someone's asked it to do something, it's then figured out how to solve that problem proactively, and then kind of created the solution. Mind blowing, and a kind of like wow. And I do think that's where we're headed. But I think what people found, certainly what I found from my experimentation, is that it consumes a lot of credits. So it sits there passively kind of polling and asking questions and trying to do things proactively, consumes a lot of credits quite quickly, and the outcomes can be a little bit hit and miss. So sometimes it hits what you want, sometimes it doesn't. That combined with its security challenges around, because it's so proactive, it gets access to everything, and in theory could share stuff if from a vulnerability perspective. But I think that's quite risky. For me, I think Claude Code is a good halfway house where it still can be proactive, but only to an extent, and it's more, I guess, reactive and controlled by me, where I say I want you to do this, and ultimately I'm in the driver's seat of that as well. So I think you could achieve a lot with Claude Code without so many of the kind of security risks. I've reverted back to something I feel maybe a little bit safer, a little bit more controlled, a little bit more reactive, rather than something that's sitting there possibly just doing stuff that I don't know.
Who knows what poems it's sending on your behalf, right?
Exactly. I don't know if it's like scanning or stuff. So yeah, that it went through a definite kind of honeymoon period. It was all over the internet, but I've seen more and more content around Claude Code now.
Well, those are the key updates, the hot topics happening in the world of AI from the last 30 days. If you found that useful, check out our website for more content, and of course, follow us on our socials. See you for another one.